Mr Speaker, I want to begin by associating myself with what's been said already by Moana Maki on the merits of the issue. New Zealand tried voluntary fortification of commercially produced bread. It was a failure. Bread producers just ignored the voluntary standard and nothing happened. It was right, as Annette King did in September 2007, to join the Australians and to move to mandatory fortification. And the decision, sir, of the Minister of Food Safety, Kate Wilkinson, to delay mandatory fortification will lead to the birth of many more children with birth defects in this country. Bowing to the commercial interests of bread producers will have that cost in human terms. And for that reason, it was a cruel decision, sir, and certainly one that is not consistent with the Minister's statutory duty to uphold and protect the public health. But, sir, it was also a flawed decision, as the views of Labour members recorded in the report of the Regulations Review Committee on the amendment food standards shows. And, sir, in particular, the consultation process adopted by the Minister was seriously flawed. It was far too short, and its results were treated without any real regard. And the facts are these. A discussion paper was issued on 22nd July 2009. Submissions were required some 3 weeks later, on 12 August 2009. It's been suggested that the consultation period was limited by the looming deadline for mandatory fortification, September 2009. But there's simply no reason that the Minister couldn't have just extended that deadline so as to have allowed for a more realistic time frame for submissions to be made. But she did not, and so submitters had just 3 weeks to respond to the discussion paper. Now, worse than that was the way in which submissions were treated. So much so that the inevitable conclusion must be, on an objective review of the evidence, that the outcome of the entire exercise was simply predetermined. The discussion paper set out 3 options regarding the 2007 food standard: maintain it, revoke it, or delay its implementation. Of the 123 submissions received after the 3-week consultation period, fully 61 sought to retain the status quo, but these submissions were simply disregarded by the Minister. Looking objectively at the process that I've just described, no scrutiny committee doing its job properly could uphold it. But the Regulations Review Committee, dividing between its National and its Labour members, unusually on this occasion, did so. And the majority, the 4 members of the committee who appeared at the time of the vote from the National Party, voted to uphold the process that I've described. And this, sir, goes to the nub of the issue that I want to deal with in my speech as chair of the Regulations Review Committee. It's the effectiveness of the committee as it's currently constituted. Originally, when the committee was set up at the beginning of this Parliament, it had 3 National, 3 Labour and 1 Māori Party member. The 7th member of the committee was Rahui Kātane, from whom we've just heard. Now, that's the right way, sir, to constitute a scrutiny committee under an MMP Parliament. There ought to be an equal number of members from the 2 major parties, and then there ought to be a third party member who can bring some independence to the process of the deliberations of the committee. It also helps that by convention we have an opposition chair of the Regulations Review Committee. This means that the committee can work in a non-partisan way, can look at questions of procedure before it and try to bring some independence to the scrutiny with which the committee is charged. But earlier this year, Rahui Kātane announced that she was simply too busy to continue to attend meetings of the committee. Now, that's fair enough. Well, I'm not trying to make a partisan point here, Mr Hyde. I understand that it is hard for smaller parties to try to stretch their resources across the committee commitments that are expected of them. And so it's not a problem in itself that the member announced that she was too busy to keep coming to the committee. The problem is that she didn't resign.
Point of order. The Honourable Rodney Hyde.